Hey everybody, I am here today with Adam at Carnivore Today or from Carnivore Today, my good buddy, and he's got some very interesting stories that he's going to tell us about. And the first one was about how he almost died, but not on carnivore, but he's going to tell us how he almost died and how carnivore has helped him with that.
Right.
Tell me what happened.
So in 2017, I was involved in a car accident on the highway. Speed limit is normally 65 in this area, and it was actually on a decline, and cars were stopped at the bottom of this decline, total gridlock. And I was the fourth car from the last car when a
Okay.
semi fully loaded with a full load of steel decided that he wasn't going to hit the brakes, and he hit the three cars behind me, and then they chain reactioned into me. And my truck, I had a large truck. It's a 2012 F-150 Super Crew 4x4, and it hit me so hard that my truck went up a 5-foot median wall on the highway and then came back down, pinballed into a couple more cars after that. But yeah, during that experience, it was something like the Matrix. The last thing that I remember was looking in the rearview mirror thinking, oh my God, there's no possible way to avoid this. Just kind of brace yourself for what happens. And I started seeing plastic and glass and car parts just spraying everywhere in slow motion. And that's the last thing that I remember.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was my very surreal experience with a very traumatic car accident. But as a
Yeah,
result of that, I ended up losing approximately 10% of my brain function with a traumatic brain injury.
that's crazy. Um, just because I'm curious, how long were you out for? Like, when did you come to again, if you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
The next thing that I remembered was some brief moments on the ambulance ride to the hospital. And then I do remember once I was actually in the hospital and they were asking me questions and things like that in the hospital. But
Right.
from the time that I got hit, it's very, very choppy. But the actual accident itself, I don't remember any of that. That's a huge memory hole. I've tried
Sure.
for years and years and years to remember anything that's happened in that space,
Wow.
and I don't remember anything.
How but okay, yeah, I totally understand that when you're unconscious, you can't, it's kind of hard sometimes, you know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
But so did somebody tell you you flew up the wall and like rolled? Is that, or,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, I
okay.
mean, and it was evident also by the damage, and so you could see the tire marks from where my truck had gone up the wall
Oh, wow.
and then come back down, and yeah,
Oh, wow.
it was intense.
I bet. Well, it's amazing that you're alive and survived that because I'm sure some people didn't. So that's amazing. Now, you say you had 10% brain damage. What did that mean? Like, what was the result of that happening, like in your life? How did that affect you?
Well, first of all, let me say I don't know how they determined that it was 10%. That
Okay.
was just the doctor's guesstimation, I
Okay.
believe. Um, but it was based on a number of factors. I had issues with balance. I had severe balance issues after that. I couldn't close my eyes while I was standing up without falling completely over. Um,
Wow.
Even with my eyes open and trying to do a balance board and things like that, or stand on one leg, I couldn't do any of that sort of thing. Um, so that was one thing that was going on. Another was cognition and endurance with my brain during the day. So
Hmm.
I could literally only do work for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and my brain would shut down.
Wow.
I couldn't do
Wow.
anything else the rest of the day. I had to essentially just go to sleep or not do anything and just veg out. So that was one of the markers as well. And then when the cognition effectively just got to the point where I had to stop doing things for the day, then I developed a motor tic, where
Okay.
my head would jerk and things like that uncontrollably, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just once my brain was overloaded, I would start losing motor control effectively of my head. And that was there for a long time.
Wow.
That continued prior to changing my diet.
Okay. So this happened, and then so you're dealing with this in your life. Were you vegan at that point, or did you decide to do veganism after that? Like, what brought you to veganism?
At that point, I was standard American diet, just eating
Okay.
garbage, eating whatever I want.
Yeah.
My weight, I always kind of struggled with my weight, and I would
Yeah.
try, keto and then bounce back, and just South Beach diet, Atkins diet, and all this sort of thing. But it was always just bounce right back to eating, Pop Tarts and Ding Dongs and Twinkies and stuff, the horrible stuff.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was 4 years into it, into this, having this brain injury. I was eating basically standard American diet, trying to diet every once in a while to lose weight and
Okay.
bouncing back. And then a friend of mine contracted cancer,
Okay.
prostate cancer. And his friend from 20 years prior had the same type of cancer and healed himself by essentially eating a vegan diet and doing juicing and all these crazy things.
Okay.
So, but that friend of his was still alive after 20 years, and he decided that he was going to go vegan effectively. And out of solidarity with him, I decided to start the vegan diet.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
that's why I was
Well,
eating
that's very
vegan for
nice.
2 years.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's very
and let
caring.
me tell you, it was one of the worst things ever. I can't stand vegetables.
Oh,
Literally. I
wow.
mean, I don't want to eat salad. I don't want to. I always made a joke. I'm like, that's rabbit food. That's not human food. And
Yeah.
I muscled it down day after day after day. I couldn't eat enough when I was on that diet. Prior to going vegan, if I did eat vegetables, like if I had green beans, it'd have to have like ham or bacon in it. If I
I
had corn,
understand.
it'd have to have tons of butter in it. So it'd have to have some sort of an animal product with it for me to even want to eat it.
Sure.
So yeah, that was huge for me to make that switch to a vegan diet.
Oh, wow. So you did that for 2 years for the
two
love
years.
of your friend. And
Yes.
did it help him with his cancer?
It did help with his cancer, but now keep in mind also he was also doing chemo and radiation.
Right.
And
Sure.
he
For
also
sure.
had some surgery with that. His was operable,
Okay.
and it did help him. And
Okay.
I believe, looking back, it was most likely mainly because it was an elimination diet of the
Right.
standard American diet, the
Right.
processed foods and the seed oils and things like that,
Sure.
because it has since relapsed for him
Oh, I'm so sorry.
recently. So the last couple months. So now we're in different discussions on, his diet and things like that. But
I hope he chooses carnivore.
yes, I do too. I do too.
Or nothing. Don't eat anything. That I've heard people healing
Fasting.
that stuff
Yes.
with fasting.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I understand. But you're not going to do veganism again this round.
Never again.
Okay. Okay.
Never again. My health is my health, and his
Right.
health is his health. His health. I'll be by his side and helping in any way that I can. Just not. I'm just not going to effectively poison myself by a
Sure.
vegan diet.
Sure. I understand. So, how did you end up? So, you're doing veganism, and then how did you do a full turnaround and not eat only eat animal products and not eat any vegetables? How did that come about?
Sure. So I have a condition that's called vitiligo, and it's effectively your skin stops producing melanin in certain spots. So because I'm somewhat tan, you can see these spots because they're bleach white effectively.
Okay.
So I have those around my waist, and I had those prior to eating a vegan diet,
Okay.
but after eating vegan for 2 years, it started to crop up on my arms. Now
Okay.
where it's visible, right? And it's not painful or anything like that, but for vanity's sake, I thought, man, this is showing up on my arms. What happens if it starts showing up on my face? And now I look like a leopard or whatever. Not that that's a big deal. It doesn't change me and who I am, but who wants to deal with that if they don't have to,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I started doing some research. In the past, let me rewind a second. So
Mm-hmm.
in the past, I knew that there's really no cure for this. Doctors don't
Okay.
know what it is or what, how to fix it and things like that. There are certain treatments that you can go through, but none of them are a surefire way to help this situation. They're very expensive.
Oh,
So
wow.
that led me down the path to try to figure out, anecdotally, can I find somebody somewhere that's tried something and helped this?
Okay.
So I started my search and came across a video with Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan specifically talked about vitiligo. He has that condition as well. And he said that he was on a carnivore diet and it started to reverse. And I thought, that's crazy. First of all, that it's reversing no matter what he's doing. And then I was
Right.
like, what in the heck is the carnivore diet? Like, literally, I'd never heard anything like that before in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking this has got to be some insane, just crazy way of eating. And
Yeah.
I at first I didn't know what to think. So at that point, I'm like, well, I'm going to start researching what this is, and typed in carnivore diet in YouTube, and Dante from Ferrigno Freedom popped up.
Okay.
I've seen his video, and he looked like, I'm telling you, this guy looked like in his first videos, like he was one step in the grave.
Wow.
And he's talking about, he's going to change his diet and eating this carnivore way of eating and stuff like that. And then a few videos later of his, he starts looking like really good. He's losing all this weight. He's putting on muscle. And I thought, man, this is insane. This transformation that this guy's having. So that led to, as with, what you had mentioned with your story with Dr. Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Barry popped up, and that was it for me. That was all the convincing that I needed, that this is safe, and
Yeah.
I'm going to try it. This is an MD that promotes this way of eating, and what's it going to hurt trying it for a little while anyway? So that's how I came to the carnivore diet.
Right. Makes sense. I mean, we eat so much crap that's so bad for our bodies. And then how can eating meat be bad? We're just so brainwashed about food. Let's go eat pizza, pizza, pizza. But then a steak, that's going to give you a heart attack. It's going to clog your arteries. Like, we're so confused. So thank God for Ken Berry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure.
So you've been doing carnivore for how long now? How long have you been eating this way?
Since roughly February 1st. So
Oh, okay. Oh, we're like newborn babies together. March
yes.
1st.
Yep, for sure.
Awesome. So what was like the first thing you noticed? The first change you noticed?
The first change that I noticed, now mind you, I started this for a skin condition that
Oh,
doesn't
right.
hurt.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt at
Oh,
all. It's
okay.
just vanity thing. But
Okay.
so the first thing that I noticed was I had plantar fasciitis for effectively that whole time I was eating vegan, and it was severe,
Mm.
intense plantar fasciitis. I couldn't stand for more than 30 minutes, and I
So
would
what
have to.
exactly is that? Plantar fasciitis. Is that
So the tendons that's on the bottom of your feet,
yeah.
they're inflamed, and where they connect to your feet on both ends,
Yeah.
it's just super painful. It feels like somebody's taking a knife and stabbing you in your
Oh,
feet.
wow. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
it's you. I mean, you hobble and you look like you're crippled and things like that, walking with this pain. So
Oh,
I
wow.
had to purchase multiple $200+ pairs of shoes in order to try to relieve the pressure off of those areas in your feet.
Wow.
Wear a boot at night to stretch those tendons,
Yeah.
um, and just live with this pain for 2 years. And the
This is
third day that I
crazy.
was eating carnivore diet, that pain started to go away in a significant way. And by the fifth day, the plantar fasciitis pain was completely gone, and
Wow,
it
5
has not
days.
returned.
Oh, wow. That's
So now I can go
amazing.
back to wearing, the budget shoes, the
Yes.
$30, on sale shoes, instead
Let's
of
go to
having to buy
Walmart.
these really expensive pairs. But yeah,
Yeah.
it has not come back, not even a tiny bit.
Wow. That's crazy. That is amazing. That's
So
that's amazing. Um, and when did you notice Or has your skin and condition improved? That's the reason you tried to do this.
At that point, I was like a week into it. It did not.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so, and I had seen a couple other videos. Black Carnivore was a lady that had a guy on that had the same condition, and it took him several months to see an improvement.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I mean, it's
so,
gonna be more obvious based on his
right.
skin color also.
Yeah. And you know, theorize that it's because your body has to take time to replace those cells with cells that actually, are properly working. So,
Right.
but that condition did start to reverse itself after about 5 months.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I did see color start filling in. It didn't fill in completely, and it still hasn't, but it has not got worse.
Okay.
So
So it's like reversing slightly, but it's not continuing its progress. Is this like autoimmune?
yes, it's
This
autoimmune.
okay. Yeah, I heard Dr. Barry say like your skin cells replace every 3 months or something, or your cells replace. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Right, right. And I haven't been, I mean, for the first 5 months, I was very, very strict: beef, butter, bacon, and eggs.
Okay.
But since then, I've learned that dairy really doesn't agree with me. So the butter, I've effectively cut the butter out now,
Okay.
and no cheese. I don't eat any cheese.
Good for you.
So, but that leads me into this. So I haven't been perfect on this
Mm-hmm.
diet. So, occasionally I'll have cheese, or I'll have heavy cream, or I'll have, uh, even at times I've had a piece of pizza, or,
Mm-hmm.
some kettle corn or whatever. And I think just my skin and my body is so sensitive to foods that aren't on the proper human diet that it sets me back.
Okay.
So if I hadn't done those things, I think that I probably would have
Mm,
continued to see more progress. And maybe even if I went towards the lion diet, that I'd see even more progress than that. It's just been a little bit of some bumps in the road, if you
sure.
will, in order to see like real progress in that area. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just speculation, but that's
Okay.
how I feel at this point.
Yeah, I understand. 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. Hey, we're
Yes.
human. We're human. We're just trying to do the best we can. I understand.
Yep.
Um, Now, at the beginning, we were talking about this car accident and your brain damage that occurred. Has carnivore helped you at all with those things you were talking about that resulted from the brain damage?
Absolutely. So 2017, the accident happened. I went through at least 2 years of physical therapy to effectively learn how to walk and stand without falling over and having issues. Also, at night, I couldn't. I had to have a light on effectively so I could focus on something.
Okay.
If I didn't, I would have vertigo symptoms. So the room would start spinning and I would feel sick and things like this. So the light had to be on in order to fixate on something in the room. Uh,
And you would
so
stare at the light or you'd stare at something else?
I would basically have to just keep my eyes open
Okay.
until I was just so tired that I would just go to sleep almost instantly. If I didn't and I closed my eyes before I was sleeping, the vertigo was it was insane. It was like I was in some wacky world that it was just spinning and uncontrollably.
Wow, this is pretty terrible.
Yeah, for sure. So the physical therapy over 2 years I feel like it did help, but looking in hindsight, maybe it was just my body naturally healing. I don't know, but
Hmm.
it was enough for me to pay the $50 twice a week to continue this for 2 years. I felt like it
Sure.
was doing something for me.
Okay.
So after about 4 years or so, the balance issues had mostly gone away. The cognition issues were still an issue. After about 8 hours a day, my brain would just shut off. So that was still there. Um, the motor tics were still there. So that was still prevalent. And by the time I had started the carnivore diet, it was basically just the cognition being overloaded,
Okay.
and the motor tics was what was there.
Okay.
And since I went carnivore about 4 months in, and I didn't even really notice this right away. It was just kind of like one day I'm like, man, I'm not having these motor tics anymore. And my brain is like, it's lit up on fire, like I can do like 1,000 times more than what I was doing before. So what they said my brain function was at 90%.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, when I realized that, to me, it felt like my brain was at 110%.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I have zero issues whatsoever with that brain injury.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's crazy.
It is, because I had just, they basically told me that this is permanent damage. It may get better over time, but most likely it's not really going to. So,
Okay.
yeah.
There you go. There you go. The brain's made of fat, so, and cholesterol, so you're replacing it, and maybe that has something to do with it. But that's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, because I hate it when my eye starts ticking. I can't imagine what it's like if your head is like you can't have control and motor function. That's crazy. So I'm so happy that got healed for you.
Yeah, it was, I don't know if people are familiar with Tourette syndrome
Yeah.
and folks that have motor tics.
Yeah.
It was effectively the same motor tic. And
Okay.
it was in certain social situations. I know people noticed that it was happening, and it was depressing for sure to know that I didn't have any control over that.
Yeah. And would people act weird around you if your head's like, would they start like
Oh yeah.
being weird
Oh yeah.
around you? Oh,
They
okay.
give you looks like, what's wrong with this guy?
Oh no. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sucks also.
Yeah. So
Just
that
separately.
for sure. So I've never been really a depressed person in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've always kind of been anxious, but not really depressed. And that brain injury really got me to a point where I was depressed.
Sure.
I never went and got clinically diagnosed, but I just felt bad all the time, like super frustrated. When is this going to stop? Why won't it stop? Just grasping for some sort of hope or help or whatever. And yeah, it sucked. It really
Sure.
sucked.
I'm sure. It's crazy. I'm glad that you've had some healing from that. And I'm glad that changing your diet has also helped. I understand for sure physical therapy is important. These therapies are important.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that they helped. Like my son, he has a speech delay. I can't remember, apraxia, childhood apraxia. And we took him to tons of therapy, and there is a purpose for it. It does help.
Mhm.
There are people that can help you, but I'm glad that your diet has also greatly improved.
Yeah, for sure. So I also
Yeah.
went to a speech therapist for that,
Oh,
and
okay.
believe it or not, they did things with memory and stuff like that. So because
Okay.
I had memory issues,
Sure.
um, they helped a little bit with that. But like I said, overall, I think there is a time and a place for that sort of a thing,
Yeah.
especially if you had like some kind of a physical, like you broke your arm or
Right.
pulled a muscle or whatever. They're great for that sort of thing for sure.
Having a baby. You need those
Right, for
doctors for
sure.
that.
And MDs, trauma care, things like that. They're great for that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
In the area that I was in, I just didn't see a whole lot of benefit from doing those things.
Okay. I
The
understand.
most benefit I seen was from what I was eating.
Amazing. That's amazing. Really. I'm so glad you have 110% functioning brain.
I don't know if my wife would agree with that, but
Probably not.
right.
So can you tell me like have there been other changes that you've noticed since changing from veganism over to carnivore, or just standard American over to carnivore?
Absolutely. So I would have regular headaches all the time.
Okay.
Not necessarily migraines. I may have one or two migraine a year, but the headaches were literally 2, 3 a week for sure.
Oh no.
Where it would just feel really, really bad. Going vegan made that worse for sure. And So the headaches are gone, which is good. I was regular with Tylenol. I couldn't take Advil because I'm allergic to it.
Oh wow.
Allergic
Okay.
to ibuprofen. So I would always take Tylenol, like literally like M&Ms all the time,
Oh
and
man.
for a headache. And that's completely gone. I did have clinically diagnosed osteoarthritis. So I had disc degenerative disease, lots of issues with joints, joint pain. I had gout.
Oh wow.
All of the pain associated with all of that is all 100% gone.
Great.
No more.
Wow.
It,
And how long did it take for you to notice like your arthritis sort of pain? How long did that take you to notice, wow, this is going away or it's gone or whatever?
that didn't take long. It was about a week to 2 weeks eating this way, and it was the pain was actually gone.
So crazy. So crazy. Because living
It
like,
sounds incredulous. It sounds
yeah,
unbelievable, but I have no reason to lie about why my pain went away and how fast it went away.
yeah, exactly. Like we just want to help people. We're not gonna.
Absolutely.
You're not saying you grew wings and you started flying.
Right. Yeah. I started making all kinds of money. Yeah.
Is there any other like successes that you've noticed?
Uh, so I did have 80 pounds of weight loss.
Yeah,
So, like I
that's
said
that's
before,
just
I
a
was
just a
yo-yo
little bit.
dieting. What's
Yeah,
that?
that's just a little bit. Just a
Right. So it's not as much as some people, but to me, I'm 5'10", so I'm relatively short guy, small frame, and 80 pounds was a lot to me.
That's a
I couldn't
lot.
bend over and tie my shoes without being out of breath. It's cutting the wind off.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, so thankfully I'm able to tie my shoes now without and still be able to breathe at the same time.
Oh my god.
So
Hashtag wins.
yeah, exactly. So 80 pounds weight loss, so that's a huge benefit. And I always
Sure.
struggled with adult acne.
Okay.
So I would have acne, on my face and on my back, and struggle with that ever since I was a teenager. And
Wow.
it seemed to come and go, but it was mostly there.
Okay.
And after going carnivore, that completely went away.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
when I was first started carnivore, I was eating cheese,
Okay.
so it didn't go away right away until I naturally just stopped eating cheese. And then I
Okay.
realized, okay, the dairy is what was causing the skin problems and skin issues with me. So as long as I stay away from the dairy, the acne it stays away. So
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. You don't know what does what until you take it away and then you feel great or look great or now I have a question about your weight loss. Did you
mhm.
not like how you looked? Was that like something that was like bothering you? Or it was like, oh wow, I lost 80 pounds. How cool. Like that wasn't something you wanted to really handle or what?
Because I had been yo-yo dieting so
Yeah.
much in the
Yeah.
past, it was just like, I'm a fatty, what? I'm a fatty. I don't care. This is what it is, at this point.
Yeah.
I did not start the carnivore diet for weight loss.
Okay.
So yeah, that was definitely a huge benefit and side effect that was like, this is crazy. I'm losing weight and I'm gaining muscle. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't exercise. I do now, but I
Okay.
didn't before. It was like exercise is a 4-letter word. I'm not doing it. Right. And that 4-letter word is pain. And I don't want to feel
Yeah.
pain. So I'm not doing
Oh
it.
yeah, for
Right.
sure.
So
For sure. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
I-
So to be able to lose weight and gain muscle without working out, I mean, that's incredible.
that's incredible. Exactly. And I think all that goes hand in hand. Like if you are weak, you're going to be in more pain. If you're eating inflammatory foods, you're going to be in more pain. If you're eating sugar, it's destroying your body. Like you're not, it's regressive. I don't know. I'm saying the wrong word, but it's going to harm you. So then you do the exact opposite. You're going to gain muscle. The inflammation is going to go down. You're not going to be in pain. And
Absolutely.
then you're going to build your muscle. And you're going to be in less pain because you have more muscle to carry your body around. It's pretty
Yep.
amazing.
Absolutely.
So, has anyone in your life commented anything about how you eat, or the results, either positively or negatively?
So what I get, I haven't really got any negative comments
Okay.
about when I tell them, how I eat.
Yeah.
I get, oh, that's interesting, you know, or you get, so they won't even comment
Oh,
about,
okay.
your success or even about what you're eating. They'll comment in regards to themselves and say, oh, I can never do that.
Oh, interesting.
I get that
Yeah.
all the time. And it's like, well, I'm not asking you to do it. So why would you say that? But
Yeah, I
so
understand. I understand that because I think that's what I thought the first time I heard about it is I can never do that. I think this is what we instantly think because of all of our brainwashing on food.
absolutely, for sure.
We're marketed into obesity.
Right. Right.
um, how would you recommend, like, okay, let's say somebody has all these arthritis issues, headaches, or whatever. How would you recommend to them if they were interested that they go about doing a carnivore diet?
Well, I would suggest, especially if you're eating, a vegan diet, to kind of take it a little bit slow
Mm-hmm.
because I did have oxalate dumping
Okay.
and it wasn't really painful, but it was itchy. So I had a
Okay.
rash that started around my waist and on my back, and it gradually worked itself up from the waist and up and over the top of my shoulders and onto the front, like it was migrating. It was
Yeah.
really strange. So that was a little worrisome at first, but I think that was because I was eating so many kale smoothies and spinach smoothies and all this stuff. Like literally, it was buckets of spinach that I would
Oh,
blend up
wow.
and drink. And this is the healthy thing to do because it's filled with vitamins and minerals. So, but little did I know that spinach is one of the highest oxalate foods on the planet. So
Right.
I had a lot of that oxalate dumping right off the bat. So I would say if you're in a vegan space and you go to the carnivore diet, kind of ease into it just a little bit, especially in the bowel area. So I had a lot of issues for maybe
Oh, yeah.
4 weeks. I had it was going pretty good. It was flowing pretty good for about 4 weeks, and it was to the point where it was like, is there something wrong with me? Like,
Okay.
should I stop this?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I stayed with it, and
Right.
everything's normal now. But I went from effectively going to the restroom 3 times a day to once every 5 days. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh, you
increased.
weren't having like, you weren't running to the bathroom 25 times a day. You just
No,
went
no, I
once.
was, I
Oh, you
was,
were.
but
Okay.
yeah. So, but in comparison to vegan diet versus carnivore diet, I was going a lot more
Okay.
regular
Yeah.
on the vegan diet, and then once I've adapted on carnivore, it's once every 4 or 5 days.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was a huge benefit. So yeah, my recommendation would be to go slow. Also, to eliminate foods from your house that don't agree with what your goal is eating a carnivore diet. So if you have your treats and your snacks and things like this, get them out of the house. Only have things in your house that you can eat on this diet, and it will be a huge help. Amanda from Carnivorous Me actually had a suggestion that I tried to follow. That if you don't restrict yourself from eating the donuts or eating the bad things if you want them. Just what she did was she said, if you want those things, you have to walk to go get it. Right? You have
Mm-hmm.
to walk to the store to go get your Pop Tart or get your Twinkie or whatever it is that you want. And
Yeah.
so you're giving yourself permission to do that. Just make it a little bit more difficult to go get and do. And that mentality helped me out a lot. So knowing that it was still available to me if I wanted to, and but obviously I never took advantage of that. So, but stay the course. With most people, if you stay the course, you stay consistent, you're going to end up seeing results. And in my opinion, you're going to end up seeing positive results once you've been on this for at least 30 days. You're going to be through most of the addictions to the sugars and the carbs, and you're going to really start seeing positive benefits that you can move forward then at that point and make a decision. Am I going to continue to do this and continue to feel good, or am I just going to go back to what I was doing? And I would say 90% of people are going to continue on. So,
right. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your stories and your advice and your time. Is there, you do have a YouTube channel. Would you like to tell us how we can find you in the universe of the internet?
Absolutely. Carnivore Today is where you can find me on most social media outlets, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, things like that. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Excellent. Yeah, threw me off. Don't know what to say. Thank you so much. We'll talk again.
Absolutely.
Sure. Okay. Bye.
Thanks, Alia.
Yeah.
Bye.